Alright boys, how was all done?
Superb.
Good.
Good. What a weekend, eh? What a weekend. Has anybody checked on Brian? Has anybody checked to see if Brian's alright in his wee green cupcakes? Has anybody checked on Brian? That we have to make that a banner for what have we got? 10 days until the derby. No, what? A few weeks until the derby. We've got to get one. We've got to get one. Well, it's been some weekend for you, Kev, innit? In the cells now. You went for a crack down to the cells. How are you been?
It's been a bad. It's a bad time. Found guilty. Now having to serve 6 months in a cell
for buggery.
Well, you want to call it buggery? It was just effectively selling drugs. But you bash on with that one. Thanks, Ando.
I was just going to say it's because you smashed up those wee green cupcakes.
Well, at the end of the day, could have been. Can't say. Will not admit. Will not deny.
Brad's washing machine broke.
Aye, that's I've only got one tap now.
It's fine. We've all been there. Your washing machine broke, and on its way out, it shrunk Shanks' top. Shanks, how you doing?
I'm good. I got boosted. Now I'm pissed. Here we roll.
You got boosted, did you? Nice.
My nut.
We're non-political in this podcast. Let's not talk about
I don't even know what that means, man. What does that mean?
You got on your top.
You
You got boosted 52.
I sure do. I don't know what it means, but we'll move on. You can explain to me later. I'm not young enough anymore to know what that means.
As
you're old enough
the
that it was in
behind you.
Aye, that's very true. I'll come to you in a minute, Ando. Tam, what's been happening?
Not much, mate. Been nervous all week, but it was good to see what happened this week, and Kev finally got out the crackdown, so I'm delighted.
Yeah, it's true. And if anybody is playing along with this My Story drinking game, we've mentioned Kev's crackdown twice, so you should be pretty much on the go for being fucking wrecked if you're not already.
That's fair enough, because we're never going to mention it ever again, because he's he's in the jail now, isn't he? So
that's very true. That's very true. And Ando, you turned 40 at the weekend. How was your birthday weekend?
It was really good. It's not really quite finished yet, and I'm doing really, really well to hold it together. It won't finish for another couple of hours yet, but I appreciate all the messages that I've got from all and sundry across the weekend. I've had a really good weekend. It's been fabulous. I don't know why I've just used the word fabulous for the first time in my life. It's probably something to do with those big gold fucking numbers behind me, but I
have been impressed by how cosmopolitan the Hearts fan base has become. We now sing ABBA, we sing Belinda Carlisle, we sing Wham, we sing Atomic Kitten. It's brilliant, mate. I love it. That's what you want, Gorgie Aggro. Everybody, all is welcome. That is true.
Yeah, I'm fully on board with that ABBA song, by the way. I've been singing all day.
It's good, isn't it? It's good. The thing I like the most about it is the fact that, again, like since I was young, since the Josh Ginnelly song and now this one, apparently, we just go about stealing other fan songs. I wonder how these songs get invented, innit? If it isn't if you're stealing them off each other. But there we go.
Aye. No fair.
True. It's no fair at all. Well, welcome back to This My Story, your unofficial Hearts podcast. Everything we say is obviously our opinions are our own and always miles off it. 26 finals, 20 defeats. Hibernian. What a fucking set of rivals. But just
the gift that keeps on giving.
You fucking have to.
I've ruined your quiz. ruined the quiz for you, but I couldn't miss the opportunity. I couldn't miss it. We'll talk about that later. We set the ball rolling last week with Merry Quizmas with about the 900 quizzes, so we have to go through all of them and give the answers for last week and set up answers for this week. So that'll take a good 45 minutes. We'll go through headlines for the week. Again, we're going to have to talk about VAR. We're going to have to talk about refereeing decisions, because taking our tinfoil hats off and our Hearts glasses or whatever, there's pretty shocking decisions right across the board. Over the weekend, well, obviously, Hearts won again yesterday against Dundee. We'll review the game, the fucking little of it that we could actually see. So I like that Twitter said that Taylor Moore got booked, and then about 25 minutes later, I was like, actual someone at the game who is also here tell us it was John Suter. We just cannot see a fucking thing. We'll talk about that game, and then we'll preview Ross County on Boxing Day and St Johnstone on the 29th, which are our two next home games, and a bit of talking shite in between. Sound good, boys?
Absolutely.
Right up my street.
Good. Just looking there, I can see how shiny Shanks' head is. That looks exactly like my balls. Thanks to Manscaped. We've had some weekend, haven't we, Tam? One day you'll get your stuff, but also you'll get pubes too. So all the best, mate. All the best. We're all rooting for you.
Me too, man. Me too. There's no point even sending me. I'm just looking forward to free stuff because I just like free things.
They've actually see how when your Ma's on holiday and she gets one of those wee fan things and she sits and does that. That's what Manscaped have sent you for blowing them off. that'll take care of you. Like,
Denny,
right.
That's not fair. That's not fair. Tam wants to keep that little present for his dad.
See, that's what Tam's getting. One of them for blowing the whiskers off. Right, Kev. Since you gave us about 40 Kevin McKennas as players last week, give us the answers. Shout outs for all the people that got it right on social media, and then give us this week's.
So, Kevin McKenna's for last week, the one that went out to the socials, which amazingly nobody got the right answer, which was quite amazing. The three clues were: caused a storm in his final season at the club, or was it to be his final season? 28 international caps with 1 goal, and single-handedly helped Hearts to a point at Easter Road after Big Zal seen red and he bossed the makeshift back four better than that Hibs manager did. And I think, Tam, you got the right answer, which is actually a first. So, Tam, please give us the answer.
Andy Webb.
That is correct, Tam. Well done. Giving you your own little bit to speak there. The correct answer is Andy Webster. As I say, nobody in the socials got it. Don't know how, don't know why, but we'll.
It was a tough one.
Yeah, it was.
Like,
and it just proves that I've got a really big brain for these things.
Or is it because I never posted it and completely forgot about it?
Don't ruin a good story, Ando.
Okay, fair enough. Sorry, move on.
Right, yeah.
So this week's I've got 2 for the show, and I've got 1 for socials, which I'll send out to yourself, Ando, maybe Thursday.
Aye, because if you do it straight after this, I just ignore the group chat until I have to do something. So yeah, you're fine. Leave it till later in the week. Cheers.
No worries. Right, so for this week, to you boys, player number 1 played international football for Senegal, scored only once for the club, and it was one of the 10 to be scored against Cowdenbeath. And still blame him for losing our unbeaten run in the championship season to Falkirk.
Gave us the worst chant ever at football.
Well, there's been a lot of worse ones, but you're probably right, Corbett. You're probably right. So that's your first one. I'll come back for the answers at the end. Second player, a proper Rolls Royce of a player, actually became assistant coach of the club and was signed by Jose Mourinho during his career. So that's your 2. Yeah, Tam, you look like you haven't got a fucking Scooby.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to think when Billy Brown got signed by Jose Mourinho.
Anyway, we will come back for the answers later on in the show. Oh, bollocks, I've done it again.
I called it a show. There's the drink. Well, we've got to keep people. It's a Sunday night. Hibs have been beating a cup final. The drinking game. There we go. There's another one for you. We called it a show. Right. Cool. Shanksy boy. Oh, fuck, I forgot about this for last week. Here is the second part of Shanks McCann.
Aye, so
bullet point it if you can, man. Just rapid fire it.
I'm not even reading it out. It was that fucking. I'm still reading it for last week.
I didn't know what to say that to you, but aye, that's fine. I think we're on the same page there. Like,
aye. So the longest ever Shanks was 4-1 versus Rangers in 2017. Walker got 2, Novak and Cowie got the others. Well done at Alan Patterson 5-1. Who came through as a winner on the Instagram because that's the only place that you would have seen the Shanks McKenna this week because the precious Twitter wankers never bothered their arse to post it. But that's it. They can just get fucked. Right.
Hold on a minute here. Hold on a minute. I went to the effort of doing the thing for it. Did nobody post it?
We did.
Well,
Just no one.
you're
No
on that,
one.
well, hold on. Judging by the numbers on that balloon behind you, you're a decrepit old bastard these days, so you probably forgot.
Yeah, listen, I done my part, pal. I'm the creative talent of this operation. I made the artwork. It's not up to me to do the
Listen,
Twitter stuff.
Craig Gordon will still be pulling out Worldies next season, so I totally agree. There's nothing wrong with that age at all.
Shanks, I'm just having a
Exactly.
look back at the Instagram. You had a 4-month hiatus this season of posting anything, but that's
Aye.
fine. All right.
Well done for
Hey,
saving that bit.
I forgot the password.
Mate, but remember that was very cat centric. Wee mozzarella sticks was getting some real cracking photos, so that's why I patched the hertz.
That's it.
Right, what's even happening here? What's this? Shanks McKenna, right? Go.
Fucking
I don't
hell.
even know what to
Why are
add.
you slavouring him? Right, okay.
I tapped it. Go.
This week's McCann. Right, okay. So, this player scored a hat-trick against them in the final day of the previous season, and then he did it again on this day the year after. It was a Sunday at Tiny. Our number 10 was running the show, trying to impress Craig Brown in the stands. A tap-in from 6 yards was the first on the 44th minute. The number 10 again flicked in. The Frenchman, we 1-2 for his second on 50 minutes. He hit the bar with 30 to go. Then Paul knocked it down off a free kick to his feet 8 yards out so he could score a hat-trick on the 85th minute. Sargent got sent off for them in the dying minutes. Their Danish manager slavoured a lot of shite post-match. 3-zip, Gorgie. Any ideas? Anybody got that?
Well, you're wearing the top for the era, aren't you?
So
That's his era.
That's the
on it.
name of the company.
he scored a hat trick and then scored a hat trick on the same day a year or a season later. Did I pick that up wrong?
So we played this team on the last game of the season in
Right.
the previous year, scored a hat trick, and then we played them the following year, and then the next time we played them, he scored a
He
hat
also scored a hat trick. Right, that's fine. Okay, I'll get you. I've got a couple of ideas, but we'll save it for the end.
Okie doke. Right. We'll break it up and we'll use Bradsy's. We've got a return of a good favourite, which is a down, and then we'll get our Hibs quiz with Tam. Should we do a Hibs quiz just since it's topical and we're going to go talk about Hibernian making an absolute to it today? Right, Tam, let's go for it. Or did you have literally just one question and I ruined it at the start?
Ah, there's 5 questions.
All right, cool. Don't worry, Shanks will still get the one wrong that I gave away at the start.
Exactly. Well, to be fair, it's actually all right. It is covered, so you're fine. But just to be relevant, we're going to do a wee quiz for Hibs at Hampden. Just so, because we're quite petty, I decided to pull that one right out there. So, question 1. Does Ryan Porteous look happy?
I'll let you away with it, but I hate that part. But okay, I'll let you away with it.
Fair enough. No, that's not even a question, so I don't know why you're writing it down. Right, actual question 1. So, name 2 players to be sent off at Hampden against Hearts.
Ooh.
These will get relatively harder as they go on, to be fair.
Right, okay, yeah, I've got it.
The only song
Stinking
Shanks
But you still can't actually say his name right.
can. The only song Shanks actually knows. He's still singing it now. He's still singing it right now. Right.
Right. Number 2, which if you listen to Corbett earlier, you'll get part of it. But since the turn of the millennium, how many times have Hibs been defeated at Hampden?
All of them.
All of them, semis and finals.
Cool. 2 points to me. Move on.
Okay.
Are you looking for the actual number?
Well, the actual number,
Okay.
They've not been beaten all of them, unfortunately.
Right, go say it again, sorry.
So since the turn of the millennium, how many times have Hibs been defeated at Hampden by every team?
Just in finals? Yeah.
No, semis as well.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Right.
Nice one. Oh, We can cut this.
It's okay. I will trim the dead air out.
What were we cutting? Like you got.
No, it's just Bradley
you got
was counting. I
confused
don't know
because
what he was
Brad was
counting.
counting. It's not your fault that you got confused by seeing somebody count.
We're doing the answers at the end. You've had a bit of time and you've got stage fright and fucked it. Is what's happened there.
100%. That's it.
Right.
Well, everybody know, please, no more counting. Confusing Sam.
You might have to count this one, to be fair. So, question 3. What is Hearts and Hibs combined scoreline at Hampden?
Oh.
Context?
What?
You've got all the context I think you need, Shanks.
You don't know about
Ever?
Yes.
That question 3.
Yes.
Is that going to be
that was probably should have been question 2. It's actually easier than the second one.
And this is of all time, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, you've just asked the same question I asked last piece,
But-
and then you're the arse out of me for asking it. So away, take a fuck to yourself.
Okay.
Right, let's go. Next one.
Calm
Question
down, love.
4. So, how big a percentage win rate is there between Hearts and Hibs in finals?
What do you mean? Like, how many have we won compared to their percentage?
Yeah, so essentially the difference. They've won a set amount, we've won a set amount. What's the difference?
If we were on 70% and they were on 30%, the difference is 40. Right.
Exactly.
You'll never do that quiz again, Tom.
No, this is very cerebral. I've even
Brad's
forgotten.
is away.
Oh, Brad's is awake, isn't it?
Aye.
I've
I've forgotten what question 3 was.
Right, last question, as we do usually, closest to the pin. So, how many Hibs fans were left at Hampden in 06 and 2012 combined?
Did you have this actual figure like worked out?
Aye, I've got.
So I
a good
want you
guess.
to be accurate here, Tam.
I'll be
I don't want to
accurate.
call you out or anything like that.
Yeah, it's,
I'll be
it's not like
accurate.
Kev to be pedantic about anything, so he's going to need it to at least 1 decimal place.
Right, that was a load of shit. So I'll quickly go for the answers. So question 1: name 2 players to be sent off at Hampden against Hearts.
I've got
Ando.
this one, man. Ivan Sproul and Gary Smith.
1 is correct. Who's got the other? Kev.
Ivan Sproul and Pakujabi.
Correct. Technically, you get 2
Oh,
points.
no. Gary Smith got sent off in the semi-final, didn't he?
Aye.
Shit!
I'll come to you for however many you got, so just tally yours on up at the end. Number 2, since the turn of the millennium, how many times have Hibs been defeated at Hampden? I'll go Corbett with this one, since you knew the all-time record.
16.
Shanks?
9.
Brad
Oh,
says 9.
6.
I went 8.
Kev?
I went 9.
Corbett gets a point. It's 17.
Wow.
Fucking hell.
You was 20 altogether.
You've got Benny, Kingsley, Devlin and Janelli. Gorgie rules apply. Right, move on.
Right. What's the Hearts and Hibs combined scoreline at Hampden?
11-2. Move on.
Move on. Correct.
I had. Wait, you want to hear what I've had?
Right,
Oh,
go
right.
on.
54.
I had 58 to 26.
We've only played them like 4 times or something.
One of the
Hampden
3
and our
times that we've
Aye.
seen.
Right.
All right.
Cool.
Question 4. How big? This doesn't even make sense. What's the percent though? The difference of win rate?
22%.
Spot on. Actually is. There you go.
Playing football, the Gorgie.
Yay.
22%. 22%.
Right. Final one. Closest to the pin. How many fans were left? Ando, go for you.
2,132.
Cool. Kev,
I went for 3,252.
Corbett,
0.
Shanks,
12.
Bradley.
I had 4,000.
I've been really scientific with this answer, and Corbett's right with 0.
Okay. I don't even know why anybody even took a stab. How would they know that?
Oh.
How would they know that? Right, fine.
Right. So Corbett wins, to be fair. I'm
Yeah, but
assuming.
and you're also banned.
Aye, we knew that was coming anyway. We knew that was coming. Right, well, we've all had a good laugh. Headlines this week, obviously. Hibs lost in the final today against Celtic. It was one of those fucking horrendous situations. It's a no-win situation in it. But I suppose the lesser of the two evils is that Celtic win another trophy. It becomes meaningless when the Old Firm win a trophy. Anybody watch the game?
I seen most of it. Missed the first portion, but it wasn't really exactly an inspiring match, to be fair.
Aye, I'm going to say it because it has annoyed me all season long. But the points that we dropped at him to Aberdeen, Hibs, and Dundee will annoy me all season long because all three of them are shite. really terrible. I suppose if we know what to be better or whatever, I think Hibs has put us on Twitter. Hibs suffer from the exact same thing that we've suffered from in Glasgow with them, as it took them to minute 50, 55 to realise actually if we have a go at Celtic here, they're pretty dog shit for them to kick into gear. And you think, I know it's easier said than done, but Celtic look outrageously good going forward and then absolute dog shit at the back. Like any Celtic fan that tries to argue with me that Starfelt is better than Halkett, Kingsley or Suter will just get slapped. He
4.5 million for him.
Mate, it's absolute rubbish. And that Carlton Vickers boy for Tottenham, he's like the wee fattest guy I've ever seen. He's the wee chunker.
I've not seen enough of the Carter Vickers to know if he's any good or not, but I do wholeheartedly agree with you that Starfelt is pish. He's absolute pish.
And it was pretty good Hibsing. They score and then instantly concede. I did laugh. You're bored and you want to cheer yourself up, go on Hibs Twitter because it's absolutely hilarious. They've got a big picture saying Skipper and literally 30 seconds later, 1-1. It's like the biggest come down ever. They didn't even describe the goal or anything. It just literally had a picture of Paul Hanlon and then 1-1.
I like how they in the celebration. Sorry, Kev, I might have stole your point. Go for it instead.
No.
But I was going to say I love how the smoke for the flare was still on screen as they scored the Celtic scored theirs equaliser.
That's the only bit I've seen in the game, and I wasn't quite sure if they had the same fucking issue at Hampden the day as we had at Dens Park yesterday with the fog, and then realised that what they've done is have celebrated a goal and then fucked up.
Well, to be fair, Hibs got to celebrate 3 goals. Yeah, they got to celebrate their goal and then the 2 goals for the club they fucking love. But I find it really the Hibs goal. And you seen it? What's Joe Hart doing? Celtic fans rave about him. He's absolute jobby. He just stands still.
Joe Hart for the last decade has been absolute shite. Let's not even beat about the bush. Like long before he arrived in Scotland, when he was over in Italy, he was crap. When he was the England goalkeeper, it was crap. Any of the teams he played for in England, he was utter crap. It's just a continuation of a trend.
Aye, but it doesn't get put under anywhere near enough pressure. Kev?
Tam's actually put himself on mute here, and that's because what he really wants to say is he was standing still the same time when Griffiths scored 2 free kicks against him.
Right. You need
thanks, Kev. Cheers.
What's the context in that, Kev?
Well, that was what he done with 2 free kicks from Griffiths when Griffiths was playing for Scotland.
Shut the fuck up, Kev.
Right, okay, see you later, guys. Bye.
Kev, man. Fuck's sake. I was genuinely like, are you alright? Is there actually something wrong with you? Like, I didn't have a fucking clue what you were talking about. Right, sound. Thanks for that, Kev. Move on then. That's fucking ruined that.
He's not coming back.
But I suppose watching the game again, we're going to talk about VAR because there was decisions in the Hearts game that was pretty bad, and taking the fucking Hearts glasses and that off as well. Have you seen Celtic's second goal? How is that a free kick? How's that a free kick? It literally is just a header. That's all it is. If you're John Suter or Craig Halkett or whoever, and he's won that header, you're applauding it. Boy's not even jumped or anything, he's just hanged at the back. And then the argument will be Hibs totally and utterly switch off because they think it's schoolboy stuff in it. They think that the substitution's going to be made, but still, to concede in the manner, like to be completely and utterly switched off. It's an unbelievable finish for Kyogo or whatever, who's take away all the nonsense in his game is actual frightening. Like Celtic will be lucky to keep a hold of him, because I would imagine there'll be clubs looking to take him off their hands. But
he'll be away to England sooner rather than later. The guy's phenomenal, but
it was never a free kick. Then obviously whatever the communication is with the substitution, and then you've got to look at it's a penalty for Hibs all day long. In the last minutes as well. VAR key that, don't they? Well, I suppose the argument is what we've said before, is we're probably going to have foreign refs, because Scottish refs probably still get that wrong. But we need VAR now, don't we?
Aye. And actually, it's not a completely ludicrous point to talk about foreign refs as well, because I don't know if anyone watched the Spurs-Liverpool game later on this afternoon. There were so many decisions in that game that when it came down to VAR have got it. Well, they've not intervened, let's say, and haven't got involved in crucial decisions. The Harry Kane, where he goes over the top of the ball, wipes the guy out, should have been a sending off, but then Andy Robertson does the same thing and then gets sent off. There are still inconsistencies with VAR, and I think it's still not quite there, but we definitely need it, because what we've got just now is absolutely garbage.
So what I hear you saying there, Ando, is those inconsistencies would still go to the Old Firm. Is that what you're saying?
More or less, yeah. It's exactly that. In England, the point I've just made, there's no clear bias there. Essentially, it's just it's the rules on what VAR can and can't do need to be absolutely probably boiled down a little bit further for me, because those in that England example, there were two almost exactly the same challenges, like could potentially, had it went the wrong way, been career-ending challenges, but one of them's a red and one of them isn't. It's shit. They should be ruled the same way, but it is what it is.
Kev,
is there maybe then in regards to VAR, is there maybe a shout from UEFA to say that all, let's say, major leagues across Europe, and what actually happens is VAR is actually controlled by an international referee. So you've got your own Scottish referee actually refereeing the actual game itself, but your actual VAR ref could come from France, Belgium, Germany, and that's not, that is just how it works out over the weekend.
Okay.
Well, UEFA couldn't even organise a cup draw correctly. So
there
is
that.
And how many games are there in the top flight in European leagues every single week or midweek? Hundreds,
they're spread
thousands.
over. But they're spread over. They're spread over different times. 12 o'clock kickoffs, 3 o'clock kickoffs, 5s, 7 o'clock at night.
Who's doing it at 5s? Who the fuck can afford to have VAR at 5s? Fucking doing Valentine's and the fucking VAR refs coming out and send you off.
No, I just wonder if it could be looked at from a UEFA point of view, that they go right, all VAR referees, and it goes from a European point of view, so that there isn't that element of bias, let's say. And I don't know.
Nope, too expensive.
In Paris has to sit and watch Ross County versus Livy.
Never going to happen. Right away, strike it.
Well, look, let's be sensible, right? So there's a few things straight away that we can do here to instantly improve the game, right? You can make referees full time. The game means too much now to have part-time referees. We need to have full-time referees. Need to be fully coached, fully trained, and do it as a profession. It needs to become a professional job. That would be number one. Some of the things that they do in England that I think should be done here is we need to grow up a wee bit sometimes in Scottish football, because you can support whatever team you want. Do you know what I mean? Like, I would prefer that John Beaton came out and said, I'm a Rangers fan, right? Fine. They do that in England. Look at fucking Mike Dean. He goes to whatever team it is that he supports. He's there every week, but he doesn't manage their games, or he doesn't referee their games. There's nothing wrong with that. Do you know what I mean? But it's all this cloak and dagger stuff where people aren't mature enough or grown up enough to say, I'm a Celtic man, I'm a Hearts man, I'm a Hibs man, or whatever, and then it just means that you don't get to referee Hibs games, you don't get to referee Celtic games. But the problem that boils down with that is that, well, if you're want to be a career ref, you want to get it to the World Cups, you want to get to the European games, you have to manage or referee the big games. So if you say, I'm a Rangers fan, then you're instantly not going to get the Old Firm, which is the biggest game here. You're not going to get cup finals. You're not going to get semi-finals because the majority of those are taken up by one half of the Old Firm. So, but that may be the case, but that still doesn't then just mean, well, we just continue with what we have now. Do you know what I mean? There has to be, I think there's steps that have to be put in place first, and then we bring in VAR. Because I think if you do it now, you're right, we're just going to have Willie Collum sitting at Hampden watching the games, getting the same decision he would have gave if he was here anyway. So VAR is needed in the games, but we need something better because
it needs to be more focused. I think is probably the better word. It needs refined a lot more before we can roll it out up here. We've got too many things wrong.
Yep, 100%. Like for example, the Stephen Kingsley challenge on Saturday. We'll obviously talk about the game in more in depth there, but we're talking about decisions. And look, we said on Twitter, Brad's, and you'll be the same. The guy's no maliciously intended to try and hurt Stephen Kingsley. I don't think he's deliberately went to try and hurt him, but that doesn't mean it's not a red card.
No, of course, it's reckless. It's reckless. It's regardless of intent. And the fact that I know they're trying to justify it on sports scene, saying that he's putting his studs into the ground, so he has to lift his leg up. He doesn't. For the first part of it, he doesn't have to do that. But if you're out of control, you're out of control. That's literally that could have fucked Kingsley. He could be out indefinitely, and it's still a bad challenge. If you're not in control of your body when you go through somebody, it's a red card. That's as simple as that.
Aye. That intent word needs to be stricken from the rules altogether. And what you've said about under control, definitely, because it's like, who can prove intent apart from the player themselves? No one. The referee can't judge whether it was intended or not.
Right. And and then you go on to, and this is where I've said before, Tam, this is the thing that bugs me the most about our league, right? Is that you have the situation with Walker's first goal. Between the linesman, the fourth official, and the referee, they've gave two different decisions. One of them's gave it as offside, the other has given it as a foul for Woodburn. And it's like, what the fuck? Both of them have just guessed because he's never offside. And if it's not a foul, and if it is, you play advantage because the ball slipped through as he's been knocked off the ball to Walker, who's 1-on-1 with the goalkeeper. Between them, how'd you get that wrong?
He has actually played advantage as well. It's just Fontaine seemed to win it, then lose it. So he pulled it back, and it's just mental. I don't. Do they not have an earpiece talking to each other as well?
They're supposed to.
There's meant to be a 6-second leeway between a challenge and a decision that you can come back to. It's not. It's instantaneous. How many times have we seen that this season? It's instantaneous. Like last week, the boy had the card in his hand before he'd even blown the whistle.
Yep.
No.
There's no thinking time. It's all reaction. And we all know what we're like. We're hot-blooded as well. When you see something happening, you make a reaction or you say something. Right. That's what referees are doing as well, but they've got to employ that thinking time before they do anything.
Exactly. Shanks.
See if each arse piece with an earpiece would just come out after the game and say that they made a Shanks set, I'd be all right with that. But it's the fact, it's the arse covering. It's the pretending not to have seen things that winds me up. Just put your hand up and say, look, we've missed that. Sorry, we'll try harder next time. Then at least we can move on with life. But otherwise, we've just got to listen to James McFadden slavering shite about what could have, would have, should have.
Well, a manager's got to step up. Do you know what I mean? Like, you think like the Hibs and Celtic manager of the day, or Robbie and James McPake on Saturday, they have to come out 5-10 minutes after a game where they're probably still fucking raging and haven't had a chance to sit and digest what's happened and explain what's went on. The referees should do the same, and the problem is they don't, is because they would have to come out and say, I didn't see it, I guessed, or I didn't see what happened, so I went with the law averages, or I did what I thought happened. Do you know what I mean? And that's mental. And here's another thing that really boiled my blood about the Kingsley challenge, right? What's it called? No, Diego Jota. He plays for fucking Liverpool. What's the guy that plays with Celtic called? Jota. Somebody Jota. Whoever he is, Jota, right? He pulls his hamstring in front of the ref. The ref can see that it's a muscle injury. instantly stops the game because he's pulled his hamstring. Kingsley gets his leg broke. He doesn't give a foul. He plays on. He doesn't stop play until Craig Gordon has the ball. 3, 4, 5 passes later, and then he stops the game. And it's like, what the fuck, man? You're just making the rules up as you go along. It's an absolute piss take. And just so that people think that we're not just bitter all the time and well-rounded, but how have we got the throw in that leads up to our goal as well? How have they gave that? They've just guessed. They've just guessed, or they fucking couldn't see because of the fog, which is absolutely mental.
There's maybe an element of that because the linesman's on the offside from where that happens, but decisions, some of them go for you and some of them go against you. Over the fullness of time, you like to think that these things balance out, but they can't balance out if you've got such glaring inconsistency within the referee fraternity. It's just shit.
Aye, it is. Brad.
So, does John Suter walk, or does he get a wee Medal of Honour at the end of the game?
For this challenge. No, he wins the ball, doesn't he? He's allowed to do that.
What are you talking about, man? It's clean.
Professional football takes him out, didn't he?
Exactly.
Must have been texting his niece or something.
Oh, fuck's sake.
Fuck it, that can stay in.
Aye, John Suter always takes his own niece.
Sorry, what?
John Suter takes his own niece all the time, man.
Aye. Say it allegedly. That's what you want. Right, I do want to talk about something, and it's going to go back to Corbett and his tinfoil hat on here, but I'm going to stick up a little bit for Hibs in that too. But something that has bugged me in the last 4 weeks is things like today, like the narrative, and we've known it for ages, and I usually agree, but it is starting to be something that probably should get called out. Is that it seems everything is just about making sure that the Old Firm either win or have a title race. If you go back to the Celtic game at Celtic Park, the whole narrative wasn't that they won with an offside goal and stopped Hearts potentially being able to go 2 points clear of Celtic or whatever. It was Celtic keep up with Rangers. And then next week, Celtic get scored in the 98th minute, and 6 minutes are added on, keeps their title race intact. And then the day, it's no Hibs are robbed the opportunity to take it to extra time. It's Ange Postecoglou wins his first trophy as Celtic manager in this remarkable turnaround from Celtic, who spent 25 million in the summer and beat a side that play £180,000 a year in wages or something like that, compared to their 92 million. Everything, and we know that it is for ages, but it feels like Premier Sports have the Premier Cup. They wanted the Old Firm to be in the final. They've got them in the final. The first rounds of the Scottish Cup are coming up, and they've put Rangers versus Stirling Albion on the telly. All the headlines tomorrow will be about Celtic. All the headlines at the weekend are about Rangers extending their hangings at the top of the league, and everybody in between just cannon fodder in it.
Yep. If you go back to the Premier Sports coverage when Kyogo scored that second goal, whatever the commentator is, I know he works for BT, can't remember his name, he said a Celtic star is born at Hampden, right? So there's phrase number one. To be fair, he was born a Celtic star umpteen weeks ago when he scored his 4th or 5th goal, but it just plays into the narrative. And then at full time, I've got it written down, Celtic are back in business. And that it's language like that just plays to the narrative that you're talking about, which is everything is engineered in Scotland to be a Rangers versus Celtic battle. Never mind the fact that plucky wee Hibs came along in the M8 in their wee yellow bus, gave it a good go, never won. Oh, there they go off the pop. It's all about Rangers versus Celtic in every single conversation, and I get it. They've got the biggest population through in that city. They've got the biggest fan base between the two clubs combined. It is the biggest rivalry, and it's what sells. But it's still shite that we have to listen to it or feel it getting rammed down our throats every single weekend. It's crap.
Well, I put it on Twitter because I was watching, in between the darts, I'd watched Sky Sports News, and they had Andy Walker in previewing the game the day, and said that if Celtic win the Cup today, it'll be a truly remarkable achievement. a truly remarkable achievement.
How?
In the past 4 years, Celtic have won 12 trophies. 13th have won the day. Hibs in their entire history have won the League Cup like 3 times or something like that. Do you know what I mean? They're managerless. They won 2 games in the past 9 or something like that. If any result would have been remarkable, it would have been Hibs winning the trophy. It's Brad, how do you break the cycle, or do you think it's just we just have to suck it up? It's just what it is.
I don't know. There's no easy answer to breaking the cycle because they, as Ando says, they dictate the media. They're all driven by that. I think the actual league have to step in and put in a bigger support. There has to be a bigger drive from inside. There has to be bigger protection for the clubs inside there. It has to be about promoting our image internally as a better league rather than just 2 horses. Because if you do a big sing and dance about Hearts versus Aberdeen and they promoted it as much as they promoted the Old Firm, you might get more people picking up and watching it and picking up the games, and Premier Sports going to be interested. They're more exciting games than the Old Firm. The Old Firm's pish now. I can't remember the last decent Old Firm game I watched. It's murder. I hate, honestly, everything about the mainstream media with the Old Firm. I hate. It's what causes us to all hate the Old Firm and Glasgow in general.
Well, here's a milestone for you, right? The end of this season now, obviously Celtic or Rangers are going to win the league, right? We have made a Hibs of it in terms of where we are now. There's no chance we're even in or considered in a title race now. We'll happily consolidate third and we'll be happy with it. That means we are 3 seasons away from 40 years, 40 in a row, since somebody that wasn't Celtic or Rangers won the league. The 4-0 right behind you there. And no one's talking about it. In 3 years' time, if Rangers win the title, it will be Rangers have won the 57th or 56 or whatever it is title, or Celtic win it, Celtic have won the whatever, and nobody will sit down and say, what the hell is happening? Like, what is going on? We have a league that, aside Hearts, and I'm not just saying it because it's a Hearts podcast, have been literally the only side even remotely close to challenging Celtic or Rangers for a title in the past 40 years. Do you know what I mean? It's shambolic. 86, obviously. 91, we were pretty close. 98, we were fairly close. 2006, we were fairly close. The run under Jeffries for a while when we went 12 wins on the bounce or whatever it is. Like, that's the closest. That is literally the closest that we have. And Brad's is right. We need somebody somewhere to get round the table, because for me, we've spoken about this before in the pod, right? But there are two. If you were to plot graph, right, for the end of the Second World War, right, to 1985, and plot graph like the trajectory of the national side, Scottish clubs in Europe, all that sort of stuff, it'd be upwards, because Dundee United, Aberdeen, Hearts, Hibs, Celtic, Rangers had all either won European trophies, been to European semi-finals, been to European quarter-finals, and we never failed to qualify for a World Cup or a Euros. And then from 1985 to now, if you were to plot graph the trajectory of Scottish clubs on the European stage, the national side, it's like that. It'd just be an absolute straight line, and nobody's gone, wait a minute, these two might be connected. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's fucking mental. It boils my blood that we have to listen.
Sorry, coincides with the fact that over that time frame, it's like the Old Firm, like we enter the Bosman era as well. That's got to be a massive factor, is that Rangers and Celtic, who have traditionally held all the money, can afford to pay superstar foreign players more money. Therefore, the young Scottish guys didn't get a look in at that level where they could be getting considered for the national team. So it definitely goes hand in hand.
100%. Right, tinfoil hats off. Let's move on to something else.
I was quite enjoying that.
Well, let's talk about Dundee. We might as well.
It's a shithole, man.
Tell me about it, mate. Tell me about it. Right, Hearts played Dundee, Dens Park yesterday. Came away with a 1-0 victory. Again, the first half, we have to do something to address how poorly we start away matches in the first half, because our next away game's Hibernian, and not as shite as they are, we can't afford to be as slow out the blocks as what we were. Tam, what was your thoughts on the opening 45 on Saturday?
It's not even just how badly we start games away from home. It's how badly we start games when Boyce doesn't play. Like, honestly, we just had no real impotence about our game. The only one that really I thought was having a good game first half, who played amazing the full game, was Peter Haring. Like, he was the only one busting a gut, playing decent passes, getting involved in the first half sort of thing. And it was just lackluster. And I've really not got much to say about it because barely anything happened. And we were just lucky we were up against a Dundee side who are fairly shite. Had it been anyone else, we would have been 2 or 3 goals down, to be honest with you.
Well, the Dundee game was kind of different, Brads, to the Livy game because Livy pummeled us for 45 minutes and we were really, really, really lucky to go in honours even at the break. But Dundee never really looked like they were ever going to put us under any real pressure in the match. There was never any points where I thought, shit, this is backs against the wall stuff. But in the same vein, I just never felt like we were ever going to click into gear and get a goal or trouble them too.
Unfortunately, I think the Rangers game might have killed Robbie's thought process of go out and gung-ho. And I actually thought, we all spoke about the first 10 minutes of the Rangers game, we were brilliant. We had high press and we charged them down and we could have created something. But losing those 2 goals killed the game for us. And I think that's going to be in the back of his mind now. Don't press too high, too hard to start off with. We'll absorb them for the first 30, 40 minutes. Once they tire them out, let's push on the second half. I genuinely believe that's his thought process. You see how his game plans always pans out that way. Absorbs his first 45. They come out flying start the second half. 60 minutes he makes his changes, and then we try and push on from there. It's predictable. Aye. It's working. It's working, but it's predictable.
Aye. And Shanks, we're in a situation where, like, to play shit and win is the absolute combination that you want in it. It's where you go. But there's just something about this Hearts team. We tweeted it the other day that it seems to have lost its fun and enthusiasm that it had at the opening sort of quarter of the season, where we were playing possession based football, but it was still fast, it still had tempo, it still had aggression. But we've not seen that in the opening of the matches, haven't we?
No, I think you're totally right. I think the boys came up last season with a point to prove, and now it just feels totally flat. I think now the title race is over. There's a wee bit of certain boys are playing for contracts, certain boys aren't asked. It'll be interesting to see how we push on. Looking forward to getting Benny back. I think we've been quite flat since then. There was a few questionable entries into the squad at the weekend that I'm sure we'll come on to that were a wee bit eyebrow raising, but overall just flat, innit? We can't go on Easter Road like that, but hopefully we'll have a wee bit more about us.
Who is it that you think doesn't give a shit?
Mackay, GMS, Woodburn, Moore, Smith, Devlin's Pish. There we go. That'll do.
Class, that's good. That was fine. I just wanted to clarify. That.
I can put that in the socials as well for all right. So just suit it, Gordon.
So the one person, the 2 people that are actually out of contract in 6 months. Kev, is it one of these things that I suppose we've seen it under Robbie before? This is exactly what it was like his last time in charge. He was away from home, pretty turgid, but again, I keep saying it. Robbie gets results for Hearts. It's what he does. It's not pretty, but you know, he gets wins.
He does. He gets wins, and you're right. You're not going to go in 5 years' time. Go remember that 1-0 victory we had at Dundee. It's effectively a lot of that, and even his first time round, you look at it and you think, there's no real standout games away from home. I don't think there's any standout games this time round neither. He has that different sort of mindset. in regards to the way in which he sets up. I think, there's the element of, we've spoken about it before, the teams know how to play against us. You remember the game against Dundee last season in the Championship? They pressed us in the first 15, 20 minutes, and they came out on top. I think it was 3-0, 3-1. It was brutal. So I think a lot of things like that sit in Robbie's head, and I think this is maybe part of the problem. There's too many things sit in his head and make him think about what do we, rather than, we've said it before, press our game, play the way we want to play, have that high tempo element to our match, whether we're at home or whether we're away, is what we want to see. But again, we all talk about this in the pub, it's only a case. If we went through the whole season winning 1-0 away from home every game, or every other game outside Glasgow, let's say, you win it 1-0 away from home, are you going to be happy at the end of the season? The likelihood is you've got you've got second or third place. It's that element of trying to get that balance of, what do you want? Do you want really entertaining football and get a 4-4 draw, or do you want shite football and get a 1-0 win?
Well,
it's trying to find the balance, isn't it? It's trying to find that happy medium.
Yeah, aye, that's true. But I think there's a couple of things like that we'll talk about. We'll come on to the positives, because there's plenty of positives about Hearts right now. But you go look back to St Mirren away, Dundee United away, St Johnstone away as well, large spells of it. We played brilliant. Do you know what I mean? We played how we play at home, away from home. We imposed our game. We pegged them back and missed chances. That's what Hearts do. But Pittodrie onwards, I said it at the time, and I went, no, I'm just going to keep harping on about it, right? But we changed the way we play to play at Pittodrie. We changed our setup, we changed our mentality, our outlook. We focused more on trying to stop them than playing our game. And to be fair, we've struggled since. We've been pretty timid away from home in spells, because second half, the second 45 minutes, again, you pick a number. If we could just score, we blow them away, because it was so much more aggressive, better tempo, in their faces. We were getting wide players in the positions that we needed them to be. Again, I don't know what Cochrane has done to Robbie from not to start, but when we have Taylor Moore on one side and Cochrane on the other, I think we just look so much more balanced in that shape. They're good defensively, but they offer going forward, and you've seen it. You look at where the goal comes from, and you look at the build-up play before, with the Walker's first goal that's chopped off. It comes from us being territorially high up the park, but also numbers up the park as well. So it is a strange one. That is what I find disappointing, Kev, about. You're right, there are very similarities between how we were the last time under Robbie to this time, but we've seen glimpses of how we can be away from home. Do you know what I mean? It just feels like something's been sucked out of us. Ando, you're looking at things like, we've said about it before, and Brad's made a good point earlier on as well, and we've spoke about it at points during the season on the podcast as well. As I suppose the one thing, or the elephant in the room, that we haven't really spoke about is the fact that as soon as we start to pick up injuries, and that's when we've started to see like inconsistencies in terms of the starting 11. Boyce drops out, who's replacing Boyce? Mackay gets injured and drops out, who's really going to replace Mackay? We've had Benny's dropped out, and I think Devlin's performances have dipped, but Peter Haren's emerged. But do you know what I mean? And that's kind of what happens when you've got the budgets that we have and the squads that we have in it, is that the impacts of the injuries are kind of be ignored.
Exactly, because we're not a multi-million pound club like Rangers or Celtic, who, let's be honest, the only reason they're successful is that they have the strength and the depth in their squads to be able to sustain the kind of injuries that most clubs see across a regular season. I think we're okay in the sense that our squad this season, for me, does have quite a decent strength and depth to it, but it's not going to be long before maybe one or two more injuries before that actually gets tested as well. It's like, as you say, we've spoken about it in previous pods, whereby then there's competition for places, and there's guys on the bench that have been dropped for whatever reason that are waiting to come on and be brilliant again. And they've maybe just not made it. But I think the way we are going, it's like, does anyone know why Boyce was out on Saturday, for example? Right? I thought he'd be in line to start on Saturday. Obviously, hasn't made it. Then we've got Stephen Kingsley, who's, I think, away getting a scan today on a suspected break, or it might even have been confirmed. I'm not up to date on the news, but all it takes is one or two more of these things, and then we could be in a right mire. But to your original question, aye. We do have a fragility about the squad that obviously Rangers and Celtic don't have.
That's true. It's a very strange phenomenon to be sitting on a Sunday and we didn't have anything to talk about when it comes to Craig Gordon. He literally didn't have a save to make yesterday. Normally we're sitting here talking about worldies, so that was a good sign, wasn't it?
Do you know what that is? For me, it's a real positive. Yes, we've been loving the fact that Craig Gordon's making all these wonder saves, but the fact there's a worrying sign is the fact that he's having to make all these wonder saves is a big issue for us, because we're not stopping it higher up the park, or we're not closing them down or pressing. And if we had Bobby or Pereira, we'd be in such a different position in third. You know what I mean? Like, no, I'm delighted at a quiet game. Like, even he was doing one for the cameras with that. I can't even remember who it was. Anderson that had the shot for outside the box, and he's chucking himself at it. Like, it was a quiet,
Hollywood.
Nice quiet afternoon. That's it. Nice quiet afternoon, and I'll take it.
Tony Brown posted some stats the other day that was quite interesting. Every season that Hearts have had the points tally that we have now, we have finished the season in third. I think in Robbie's first season from the first time background, couple of Jeffreys, couple of Shabalazlos, all that sort of stuff. So it does look like, he said, we've got 2 home games now where if we take care of them, the teams in and around us are all going to take points off each other. We're currently 10 points ahead of Hibs. We're 5 points in front of Motherwell. So you're looking at this sort of wee run of 3 before the break. They're crucial, aren't they? Because Dundee was a big one for me. Like, I genuinely was concerned that we might struggle to pick up points there, just because everything that had been happening, the fact that they were on such a shite run. Hearts are normally the soft touch in it. They're the team that you want to play when you've no beat anybody, you've no scored, and your club's riddled with COVID. You want to bring the Gorgie up and get some 3 points and get your season kick started.
Nothing to do with you cleaning your kitchen then.
I know, but there was also that day that I'm so superstitious that stuff like that plays heavily on my mind. The last time I cleared my kitchen, it like gutted the oven, cleaned behind the back of the oven, and everything. Hearts lost to Alloa, so I was heavy contemplating stopping it because I was like, no.
I didn't know that stat about at this point of the season, if we had the equivalent points total, then we'd finish in a reasonably strong position. We're not naive enough to think that we're going to be able to raise another title challenge again for the rest of the season. We all know it's dead in the water. However, the only thing I'll say is passports out, boys, because if we continue doing this, every single one of you fuckers better keep July and August free, because we're going to be spending a lot of money somewhere in the continent.
Well, that's why there's a song now. That's it.
That's true. Let's wait for whatever fucking new variant COVID comes out and scuppers our European trips.
Actually, you can all come in the train down to my house and we'll watch it on Hearts TV. Right, that'll do.
Be a European trip, aye.
Aye, train down to Ando's.
Let's talk about the positives, because there was plenty of positives. Again, we have now won 4 away games this season. That is our best away return for 6 years.
Is
that?
Fucking hell.
Our average away wins since 2015 till now has been 3. So we're 1 above average, which is good. We obviously are 3rd again, which is good, because at one point with Motherwell winning, I was really starting to worry. But again, the substitutions, Cochrane made a difference, but Jamie Walker finally emerges off the bench, and guess what? He scores the winner for his 54th career Hearts goal. Is that correct?
54.
And just for the minute that he came on, he is everything that Gary Mackay-Steven isn't, and carries a goal threat, got us further up the park. And you also have to credit McKenna as well, who I think has been very unlucky not to start the last two matches. So that was positives. Tam, were you impressed with Walker and that when he came on?
So you know how Jamie Walker's friend of the podcast and that? I was in his DMs last night, fucking saying, "Well done, Jamie, mate. You changed the game. Thanks very much. You were class,
Had
man."
you? Did they pay you?
No, he replied, "Top man," which is great. So we're basically bombers now, like always and forever, best mates. But
Do you want to do
was-
a Jamie Walker this season quiz? Because I've got the figures in front of me. So just because you had the shit quiz earlier, Tam, here's one impromptu. How many minutes closest to the pin has Jamie Walker played this season?
7.
Nearly.
Aye,
He's played
however
it.
many minutes.
He's
Go.
the lowest player. He's got the lowest player minutes of anyone that's played that's been on the park so far this season. 152 minutes, and he scored 2 goals. So if you look at like goal contribution per 90 minutes, he's on 1.2 as near as makes no difference. And the closest person to him after that is Boise on 0.7, which means that his effectiveness when he's on the park is absolutely superb. But again, it's easy to get those numbers when you've only played 152 minutes and scored 2 goals. But the point being, he needs to start next game.
He's a completely different player though. Like he brings some different qualities to the rest of the front three that alternate can't bring. Like he's always looking for that sort of goal, which is class, and you can't put a price on that as well.
He runs forward with the ball.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true. Shanks, since Ando teed it up there, we said it. We've seen this from Jamie Walker before. We've seen it last year in the Championship when we were in a hole. Bring him off the bench, he changes the match. Start him, and he doesn't have the same impact. So, what's your thoughts on that situation?
I mean, when was the last time we started him though? Is it time that he gets a chance? Do we keep one of the wingers on the bench next couple of games and see how he gets on? He's certainly somebody that I would quite happily see in a starting 11 at Easter Road.
Well, I've said before, and we highlighted this last week with the Rangers' second goal and Gary Mackay-Steven. Right, the whole point of the way we play 3-4-3 is all about first contact. So it's all about your front three engaging the opposition high up the park. Right, Boyce, brilliant at it. Chases everything down. He's constantly on the man, always constantly shutting down space. He'll run into space just to make it difficult for somebody to play that pass in there. Barry Mackay also really, really good at the same thing. And this is where I think Hearts have probably found their biggest problem with the season so far is the other side of the three, whether it be Ginnelly, whether it be Woodburn, whether it be GMS, or whether it be Walker, that third just doesn't seem to have the same work rate, the same desire, the same impact on the matches as the other two do. And I can't personally see Jamie Walker doing the running that's required to play in a front three when we're at home. Brad's thoughts?
100%, mate. Like we all love Jamie Walker. We want him to succeed, but yeah, he has an impact coming off the bench. But that exact point, how many games have we watched him start and gone, for fuck's sake, like you're offering nothing? And it's just part and parcel of the game. He said himself, he doesn't see himself as a winger anymore. He sees himself as a 10. So he wants to be in behind that. He wants to be the second striker playing off Boyce. He wants to be in closer to him. It doesn't really suit that attacking 3-prong that we keep talking about. But as we keep asking, as you've mentioned about, I don't know, 100 times this year, we ask boys to come off the bench and fight for it and want to make an impact and want to put their place in the team. If he deserves to fuck up, let him fuck up on his own terms. Let him go out there and be a dick. He's got to prove that he's the best man for that position. It can't be any worse than fucking GMS, to be honest with you.
Aye, and to be honest with you, I'm going to start calling him out today because I battle GMS, but fucking Woodburn is offering literally fucking nothing. If he'd end his contract now, when they lose a single bit of sleep because he's been atrocious. I've stuck up for him for ages, saying that you can see glimpses of him being a good player, and I think the international break absolutely came at the wrong time for him. But since then, when you look at what Walker brought, look at what it meant to him to score. It's all over his Instagram story of the day. It's probably buzzing. Look how the players react as well. That's a good sign for how someone is within the squad. Like Taylor, Moore, Gianelli, all of them tweeting about it, all of them on his Instagram, all of them round to celebrate with him because they know what it means for him to play for Hearts, what it is for him to get a chance and to score and stuff. See someone I'd throw their name into the hat for that third position that we're talking about in the front three is McKenna. I think he's the only other one that would match the work rate of Boyce and Mackay when he's up there. Sam?
You've seen it with a goal as well. One of the only players to actually take a shot at the edge of the box, try and make something for nothing. And it was his shot that led to the goal. And that's what we missed for the majority of the game yesterday, was somebody actually try to take a chance, and he came on and just went for it. So exactly what we need.
Cammy Devlin had a half volley today, didn't he?
I don't know. To be honest, all I remember for Calvin Devlin with that fog as well was that chance he missed at the end. What was that?
Awful.
It was a shocker. Kev, what were you going to say?
No, Devlin did have a chance. I don't know. Did it get head over the bar, or was that keeper?
Aye. Fontaine headed it over the bar, I think.
All I was going to say was that we had 13 shots yesterday, but only one on target according to the stats. That asks you a question itself. What the fuck are they doing during in training? Do they no bother with shooting practice this week?
It's a strange one, and I don't think it's anything to do with that. I think Mackay's somebody that would absolutely shoot. I just think he's got confidence. He's not scored. Games are building up. He's not even taking pop shots or anything like that anymore. Do you know what I mean? He just isn't. He isn't shooting. Boyce, obviously, we know how good Boyce is, but that's the thing that's annoyed me with Woodburn, that he stopped in. Like, see this to be like half turn, take it into his body, turn and shoot. Had one that just went over the bar against Hibs, had a couple of pings from distance that made the goalkeeper make a save. You're not even doing that anymore. Do you know what I mean? And you look at the amount of frustrating times that we've seen as well, Kev, when we were at Motherwell, where you play Gianelli in, he's a week before it, toe poked in with his left foot into the bottom corner at St Johnstone. He's played through in the exact same situation at Motherwell, and he cuts inside.
Aye, I think it was Shanks, or it was either Shanks or Brad said it last week. There's that element that we were actually taking 6 touches where 2 touches would be good enough. You know, it's a lot like that. And sometimes, again, going back to what we spoke about earlier on about the fact of that entertainment element, take a touch and take a shot. Did he take a touch and then try and beat the boy 3 times before you actually then lose the ball? Well, that's just pointless. And I think there's just an element of just have a little bit more belief in yourself.
I think that will come. If you look at our next 2 games at home against 2 of the worst teams in the division, I think if you're going to get the monkey off your back, it's got to be against one of those 2.
Nah, why have you said that? Fucking 0-0. 2 0-0s, man. Here we fucking
let's be honest, man. It's only Corbett that is superstitious. Before I said that, I kissed my lucky little rabbit's foot that I keep under the desk. Everything will be sound. Barry Mackay, and there you go. There's the challenge thrown down. Here, I threw it down to Boyce, and he passed, didn't he? Barry Mackay, you're fucking dead to me if you don't score at least 1 goal against Ross County or St Johnstone. I will hire.
Did you not call that out last week?
I think you've already given him that.
He didn't put an actual goal term amount on it. So
no, I didn't.
I'm liking this. Go for it.
Aye. So we know that when I come out with these challenges, it just shit happens. So Barry Mackay, you must score against Ross County or St Johnstone, preferably both, and it's a brace or a hat trick in each game. Get that monkey off your back, or I will fucking hate you. Looking at it.
Right.
Moving on.
We let's talk about the last positive for Saturday before we start talking about Ross County and Hangway. But Peter Haring, like,
Big
Chopper.
Big man now, match sharp, getting fitness, playing a few games in a row is everything that we fucking remember and love about the guy, isn't he?
Peter
Honestly.
Haring, baby.
Like the range of passing, the energy, it's unreal.
He doesn't
gorgeous.
have that turn. He doesn't have that turn of pace, right? We all know that. But the ability the boy has to actually make, as you rightly say, Tam, a 40-yard pass or a 10-yard pass is just great.
But the thing too is, and this is what really, really good football players have the ability to do, is they make the ball do the work. You get football players that'll run fast as anything and take up space or whatever and could run all day. Then you get football players that are caviar that can pass the ball. Paul Scholes couldn't run the fucking 100 metres in a decent time, but my God, he could pick a pass. Do you know what I mean? And that's what Peter Haring does. Peter Haring makes the ball put the yards in. Like, do you know what I mean? He plays it. Even just wee stupid things that you notice when the difference between like great players and good players is how they pass the ball to someone else. Do you know what I mean? There's playing a pass and then there's playing a pass. You know, Peter Haring puts the ball in front of somebody so that they can step onto it or that they're facing the right way. Barely ever places a pass to them where they have to stop, check back, or face their own goal. Like, that's just something that we've missed for ages and ages. So here's the $1 million question, right?
This is coming.
They would change shape to get Benny, Haring, and Devlin in there, or does one of Devlin or Benny sit on the bench?
Devlin
Because
on the
you can't
bench
drop
for me.
Haring. You can't drop Haring.
Yep.
I go change of shape, especially with Kingsley being injured.
Shanks.
I would go a 4-3-3.
So I think Tam spilled his beans too early because you can't really answer that question until you see Haring and Benny play together. But on the face of it, I'd like to see Devlin come off the bench and run riot in the 60th minute. But let's see how that partnership pairs out before we decide.
We have seen them play together.
I think they played Celtic, they played Hibs, played Aberdeen, all them, because we didn't sign the transfer.
Because Devlin came right in the end.
Okay.
But it's like, look, again, talk about positives we will have before, and again, we'll reiterate that Joe Savage had 2 months of a transfer window, and the difference in our midfield is ridiculous. You know, the fact that we can't even argue about who should be in there when you think about the players that we've had in there for the past 3, 4, 5 seasons, the quality that we actually have in that area of the park is phenomenal. And today, anybody that watched the cup final, look at Tom Rogic, absolutely took that Hibernian midfield out of play. He was just unplayable. They literally could not get near him. And again, he's somebody that isn't fucking rapid, quick or whatever. It's just his movement, his touch, where he picks the ball up, how he hods onto the ball. And that's where, like, you're looking at your Benny, your Devlin, or your Haring in the derby, and you're looking for somebody to get on that ball and dominate it as well. So I'm with you, Tam. I think we probably will see a change of shape. Is it maybe too defensive, Kev, to have them 3 in there, do you think? Or does it free up Devlin a little bit to kind of go a bit further forward?
Oh, I think it's good to ask the question, but do we know that Benny's going to be back shortly?
Nah,
that's the thing. We could be talking about something that's not going to happen at all. Yeah, I think you're right. We would have to. I think we could look upon it being too defensive in regards to its, Benny and Haring. Sometimes we want to play the same role as such, but I do like the idea of actually freeing up Devlin. I noticed last week in the game last week where he was actually wanting to be on the ball and making the kind of passes that Haring would play or a Benny would play. That's not, I don't think, his best place in the team. I think his best place in the team is in front of those guys and actually linking up with a Boyce or a Mackay or whatever, or McKenna, whoever we play up front. I think that's probably his stronger game.
Aye, and I think Hearts are got history for this, innit? Benny's been a game away for coming back for 6 games. I mean, they're saying oh, he might make the derby. It's like, all right, sound right. So that was Saturday there. Just one last thing before we move on, Shanks. we've played literally no striker on Saturday with Nando on the bench. Does that, if there's ever a sign that relationship is finished, is that not it?
When's his contract up?
In the season.
I think he's got another season on it, as you know.
Aye. He seems to
Is
take
it
Can we
2.5
give him
year
away?
contract?
Aye.
We have to actually pay somebody to take him.
Aye. Like we're
Can we
paying
not just
somebody to
drive
keep
him?
the moor.
Like, he will never have a fucking catch chance in hell finding his way back home if we just drop him off in Dalgety Bay. Just drop him there and catch you later.
Go play for Wraith Rovers.
Aye. It was it's the signs
Apologies,
of
you're right. May 2022.
the signs have been on the wall for ages with him, but the fact that we'd rather play no one up front than play him is pretty much a done deal. Right, so obviously we don't know. We're obviously doing this now on the 19th of December. It's Christmas. We've all got families. Who knows if we'll even bother our arse to podcast over Christmas. Hopefully we can get some time to do it. So we might as well preview our next two games, which are two home games, Ross County on Boxing Day, then St Johnstone following, both in pretty terrible form. St Johnstone, what a fall from grace. They've had double winners last year to probably going to get relegated, probably going to sack their manager. Thoughts, Brads, we're just going around the table, just quickly, both the games. What would you change? What would you keep? What's your predictions?
I'm still undecided about the shape. I would like to still see the 3-4-3, but it'll depend on Kingsley's injury. Predictions. We drew with County last time, didn't we? Up in Dingwall.
Yep.
I'm going to go a draw again, and I think we'll pump St Johnstone.
Mate, we only beat Hamilton, Ross County, Kilmarnock, St Johnstone, fucking any of the other dog shit in the league for fucking ages. It's actual beyond a joke since the last time we beat Ross County at Tynecastle. So if we draw with Ross County on Boxing Day, I'll be on the park. I'm just putting that out there right now. I'll fucking lose my mind. Right,
Go 26 to the park.
Mate, I'll need to leave about 75 minutes just to get done. Right, Thomas, what you were saying it?
I think Ross County have actually looked better over the last few weeks, so I think we draw that game. And then we beat St Johnstone.
Who are you, man?
Used bastards. You know how I used to be like captain positivity.
Use bastards.
You sounded like Gary McKay-Stephen there. What was going on, man?
You're on your podcast, you little bastards. Right.
That's not a podcast. That's just a chat amongst lads.
Right, Shanks, what's your predictions?
We'll fucking scud on them, man.
Yeah.
3 points. Double points.
Double points. Neil McCann in the dugout. Fucking here we go. Right, Kev.
I actually can see us actually struggling more against St Johnstone than Ross County. I can see 3-0 against Ross County, and it'll be a tight game against St Johnstone because they'll just put everybody behind the ball. But I still think we'll actually take 6 points in the next 2 games.
Nice one. Ando.
Nice and simple. 6 points, 6 goals. Barry Mackay to get 2 of them. I don't care how it happens, but that is my expectations. That's what will happen.
Nice. Right. Do you want to give your score predictions, Brads?
1-1 County game. 3-0 St Johnstone.
Nice. Tam.
1-1 and 1-0.
Shanks.
1-0 both games, but it'll be quite tight.
Kev, you've just gave us an insight into some of them, but go for the next ones.
So 3-0 against Ross County, and I think it'll be 2-1 against St Johnstone.
Ando.
3-0 both games.
3-0.
Spot on.
I think it'll be like 2-0, 2-0 or something. I think it'll be run-of-the-mill home victories for Hearts is what I would I'd be predicting, which would be gives a nice wee bit of momentum heading into the Hibs game.
Good games at a good time of year, like, because if you're going through a busy schedule, you want to have it would be shite if we're playing Rangers and Celtic like in these 2 games. These are the best teams we could be playing.
Well, I'm sure Hibs have got Celtic, don't they? I think they've got Aberdeen, Celtic, and then us.
Good.
Something.
Fuck them.
I'm sure that did they play Sunday this Wednesday or something like that? Is it Aberdeen on Wednesday?
It's. Oh, is it?
Ooh.
It's Aberdeen on Wednesday, yeah.
And then Celtic, and then us.
Yeah, no, yeah, Boxing Day games. Dundee United, actually, sorry. Apologies. Then Celtic.
That's a strange one. Right, we'll end it with Brad's. You've got a down. Let's end it on a cheery note.
Okay, boys, I'm taking you back to a golden year here. Me and Shanky were in first year. Tam was in P4. Ando had hair like Brandon Barker, and Kev was celebrating his 40th. We were going back to the year 2000. One of my early Hearts European memories is Hearts versus Stuttgart, 3-2 win. So all I need to know, boys, is who were the Jambos playing that day?
Stuttgart, mate.
So as it goes round on my screen, Ando, you're first. So the year 2000, 3-2 win against Stuttgart at Tiny.
Oh, Colin Cameron.
Colin Cameron, he was a goal scorer, so take him off. Well done. Then it goes down to Kev. Who are you going for?
Goran Petric, because he's a banker.
Aye, he's your go-to man. Petric is there. Corbett, you're next on my screen.
What is it? The game at Tynecastle?
Aye, 3-2 at Tynecastle.
Kevin James.
Kevin James did play, yes. Tambo.
You get 1,961 Kevin Jameses from my house to Tynecastle.
Oh, wait a minute. We're supposed to be hands in the air for this.
Oh.
You've already Googled the fucking squad, you fucking
Mate, I
idiot.
can't stop rubbing my smooth balls. Unbelievable, man.
Playing with my knife here.
Alright, for fuck's sake. The
It's a
Kev's
pen
in
knife,
jail and you're
that's all.
kicking about playing with knives. What's fucking wrong with you?
It's my bottle opener, man. Who's got corpse to?
Oh,
Hey, Tambo, hit us one.
Yeah, I'm struggling.
Yeah,
I
boys,
only
I'm
had-
just chilling with my fucking drill. He's
I
up
didn't even know what Hearts were in the year 2000, man. No. Friend of the podcast, Gary Locke.
Think of your favourite Busted song. I've been
Gary
in the
Locke
year
was playing.
2000.
Gary Locke was playing. Class.
Yes. Shanky.
hey, hold on, I've got the Pilsmaster 3000 set here. Is it Scott Severin?
Scott Severin did not play.
Well,
He played in the 1-0 game.
Oh, well, of course he did.
Ando, back to you.
Niemi was the goalie.
Anthony Niemi was the goalie. Kev.
Think Andy Kirk.
Andy Kirk was playing. My Hearts hero. Corbett.
We can say people on the bench now, can't we?
Well, I've got the bench here as well. We can keep the whole bench in, or you can use the actual players that came on.
All right, okay.
I think it's usually the players came on.
There was 2 players that came on from the bench,
Okay.
and 1 replaced Gary Locke. There's a clue for you, and Andy Kirk.
Right, okay.
How
Gary
did one
Wills.
player replace both?
Shut up, Tam.
Right. I took a punt and said Gary Wills.
Gary Wales was an unused sub.
Yes, I'm taking it.
Take it. Right, Tam.
I'm just thinking Shanks' shirt, Wanjo.
Wanjo's a player. He's starting.
He was a player, I'll give you.
Shanky.
What the fucking clue? Gary McSwiggan.
Gary McSwiggan came on. He was a sub that came on.
Get in there!
Ando, back to you.
Risky,
One of the
but
goal scorers.
Stefan Adam. Although
Stefan Adam
that's FA.
was an unused sub.
Oh, did I get it for that?
I'll give you a point, aye.
No.
Yeah, I'll give you it. Kev.
You're on mute, Brad. I can't hear you.
He's talking.
No, we can hear him. It's fine. You
Oh,
get it.
shit. Right, so am I in or am I out?
I
Oh,
hear him.
Right, I'm sound. Right, okay, good.
Right, Kev, to you.
Pure thinking of that shirt that Shanks is wearing tonight. Stephen Presley.
He was a goal scorer as well. Scored the first.
Also, he did.
Great wearing this shirt tonight.
Corbett.
Was Mahi playing for Hearts? Stephen Mahi or whatever he was called. That just fucking guy with a big nose for Celtic.
He was not. No.
Year before.
Tam, if you want to look at your screen and pick another player that you can read.
Aye.
Honestly, the idea. Skip me, man.
Skip me. What do you play?
Patrick skip me for Australia.
I'll take a punt.
You're gonna say Patrick Snorbo because he just told you.
No, I was going to just say because of my name, Tam Fogel.
Thomas Fogel was playing.
Agile. Yes.
Very good.
Fuck.
There's 2 of the starting 11 we've missed out. One's a bit of a Hearts ledge. Well, I'll use the word legend.
I'm in.
Right, Shanks.
Shanky.
My balls are no longer Paul Ritchie because I've now got a ball trimmer.
No, it's no Paul Ritchie. He wasn't in the squad. Ando.
I don't know, man.
I'm going to give you a clue for one of them. He shares his name. Shares his name with Hibs Wank.
Viva Graham Weir.
Shares his name with Hibs Wank.
Also a mint.
What is in the
Somebody
polo
Somebody
mint?
Murray.
Got it.
Oh, Grant Murray.
Grant Murray was in the squad.
In fact, is he not a current employee of Hibs or was until recently? Aye. Fucking dick.
So
Gary
we've got
Gary
one
Naismith
more.
in the team.
Gary Naismith was the other player.
That was
the starting
his
11.
last. He'd been one of his last games before he went to Everton.
It was, aye. It was indeed. Because he left the month after or 2 months after.
No points for being a Spartans, Kevin.
Sorry.
There's 4 subs left. One came on. Can anybody get them? Corbett?
Falwa.
Nope. Tambo. He is currently in the Hearts setup.
The Hearts setup.
Nielsen.
Got it.
Yeah, Robbie Nielsen came on.
Oh, you cock.
Was hanging on the bench that night, Brads? Was Rusey on the bench?
Jules Rousset was on the bench. You've now got a Jamaican and somebody that stayed in Uri.
Fitzroy Simpson.
Fitzroy Simpson.
Lee
was on the
Makel.
bench. And one boy that we used to always see kicking about in Uri all the time.
That must be the boy O'Neill.
Nah. Do you know what? Chris O'Neill, I had never even heard of him. And he was supposedly on the bench. With Darren Jackson. With Darren Jackson as well. So there you go. That's your Hearts versus Stuttgart, boys.
Nice one.
Oh, well done.
Nice one. Right. Well, have a nice Christmas, everybody. If we don't pod before then, boys, have a good Christmas. Stay safe. Have a good time with your families, and we'll see you all for Hearts to ruin it on Boxing Day.
Thanks.
Hey.
Cheers, guys.
Merry Christmas, guys.
Bye, boys.
All the best.
Yeah, boys.
Gotta get out.